everybody, my name is Luke Marr and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are coming to you with your June 2023 fashion roast and review. We're going to be discussing all of the looks from all of the celebrities that showed up throughout the month of June. I mean, listen, we have all of that Louis Vuitton debut, we have covers, we have stars, we have premieres, we got a lot to discuss. So without further ado, if you are a channel member, there's a channel member version of this video where you will see all of the looks we discuss. But if you're not a channel member, you could become one for just $1 a month. But stay here, there's still a video, it's still good, we still get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into it. Next up we have Andrew Garfield, and he is wearing Zegna. This was at the Zegna show. It's the most recent men's collection for Zegna, spring 2024, I believe. He is wearing what I'm sure is like a linen suit in this beautiful beige and a t-shirt underneath. I'm sure it's like a cashmere t-shirt, because the thing about Zegna is like, it's luxury. And I think we talk about like stealth wealth and very Succession-y vibes. You know, you talk about Loro Piana and Hermes and things like that. But the thing that nobody really ever talks about is Zegna, because it's men's only. Zegna is very expensive. They make really, really beautiful pieces. Every single season I look at the collection and I'm like, if I had $3,000 to spend on a pair of pants, this is where I would go. To see the sort of linen style in Andrew is nice. I love the fact that this jacket has no lapels. I think it's cool. I think it's sleek. I think it's minimal. Again, the linen is probably like super good quality. It's probably super beautiful. I love the way that it's open too, and the jacket just sort of slightly pushes itself away from the body too. It just sort of brings in, nips in at the waist area, and then subtly falls out as well. The pants, they could be a little bit shorter, but I also think Zegna is really trying to do a big sort of baggy moment. We've seen it a lot on the runway recently. I understand it. It's just also like linen's a tough fabric in general. It's going to wrinkle and crinkle. I'm willing to give a pass on it just because that's what's happening. The t-shirt underneath, I think works. It doesn't distract from the suit. I think it's all cool. He looks good, but again, he's always minimal, but at least it's Zegna. It's meant to be minimal. Next up, we have Anitta, and she is wearing Louis Vuitton. This was at Pharrell's debut for Louis Vuitton, and she is wearing a monogram denim set. It's a jacket and a pair of big baggy pants, and the actual monogram, the LV with the little sort of florals that were inspired by Japanese is done in a little crystal style. So each of those little things are done with little silver crystals. There is a yellow halter neck bra top and green bag, and I don't really understand that. I feel like maybe we play into the green or play into the yellow, but maybe not both. I feel like it distracts from what is meant to be sort of like the main focus point, which is the monogram. I do think that the upturned cuff on these baggy jeans is interesting. I don't really know how I feel about it, but I think it's interesting enough to make me question how I feel about it. I will say this is really not one of my favorite Anitta looks. I think it's kind of underwhelming. I understand that it's LV, and so with Pharrell as well, it's a little bit more heavy on monograms and things like that, rather than being that sculptural, avant-garde, over-the-top, artsy-fartsy, Nicolas Ghesquière. But it doesn't mean I like it. It just means I understand why it is the way it is. But just because it is the way it is doesn't mean that it is enjoyable to all of us. Next up, Beyonce. She's wearing Louis Vuitton. This is a custom look. It's a yellow silk pajama set and matching robe because it's Beyonce. Why wouldn't they match the robe? It's in this yellow silk, and in reality, there is a sort of embossed leaf and foliage print that runs throughout the majority of the look. And it does correlate, not in terms of the pajama set, but the actual silk embossed element to a look from the runway that Pharrell showed for his first collection. There was this green bomber jacket that had a similar sort of effect, so I think that that's where this custom style came from. I don't think it's bad. I think the color yellow looks really, really good on Beyonce. I think that it shines really beautifully off of her. Beyonce never really shows up at fashion shows anymore, and I know that she's Beyonce, so she doesn't have to like serve a look if she doesn't want to, but it's very rare she doesn't try to serve a look. So my thing is, I feel like I was expecting something a little bit more from her in terms of custom look, not custom pajama set. But I also will say, and we'll talk about this later with Kim, maybe that's for the best. Maybe this is what it should have been. This is as good as we're gonna get. She knew this is not for me, but I have to show up, so I'm gonna wear this. And so I respect that wholeheartedly. I think it looks fine. I think it fits good. I think she understands what she's doing 100%. Let's move on. Next up, Cate Blanchett, Armani Privé. It is a custom dress. Now, it's pretty much a black sequin dress for the most part, up till we get to around the lower waist area. Then it turns into a sheer sort of mesh style that has been embellished as well with a trellis motif and a little bit of a fan bejewel situation. So I don't think it's actually embroidered. It's been embellished with a bejeweling. I kind of like it. I think Armani's weird. I do. Respectfully to Armani. I think it's weird. I think they make weird shit, but it's really, really nicely made weird shit. And so they're like, we're happy with it. And the customer's like, I'm happy with it. So it's fine. I can see that this deep plunge neckline is also intriguing. And the dress in total is fully made up, I would say, of a sheer sort of mesh piece, but the entirety of the thing has been bejeweled or embroidered with these little bedazzlements. Listen, again, like, it's intriguing, but it looks like it's two different dresses, or it looks like it's a dress that's been paired with a sort of sheer piece underneath, because we can even see that the halter sort of wraps around, but I'm pretty positive that it's all one piece because that halter seems a little off kilter to me. I don't know what to make of it. It's weird, it's wacky, but it's also incredibly and impeccably made. I'm just gonna leave it in Cate Blanchett's hands. Next up, we have David Beckham and Victoria Beckham. First up, let's talk about David. This was at the Jacquemus show, and so David is wearing Jacquemus. I'm sure it's a linen suit. It's tan. It's kind of big. It's kind of baggy. The pants also big, kind of baggy. I don't hate it. I think it's nice. I know that people are gonna be like, well, Andrew Garfield, you just love, but like, there's a difference in the suit jacket. First things first, this does have a sort of mini lapel and a collar, whereas Andrew's did not. There's also a pocket on the jacket where there's actually a few pockets where I believe that Andrew's, again, did not. There's inherent differences about it. I also think the cut in general of it is different, so there's a difference. It's, again, wrinkled because it's linen. That's going to happen to the best of us, you know what I mean? Like, I literally own a Jacquemus, I think it's a short suit. It wrinkles, so, like, again, I don't want people to be like, you're a hater. And I'm like, no, I own a suit by Jacquemus that's in linen. I own it. Will I say that I own it when I wear it? That's up to you to decide. But it's fine. I like the pants a lot. I think the shoes make sense. A sandal, a flat, I get it. The shirt underneath, you know, maybe I wish we couldn't see that, but As for Victoria, I actually don't know if she's wearing Jacquemus because I feel like she's probably wearing Victoria Beckham because Victoria Beckham is back. People, it's doing fashion. It's going over the top. It is trying. It is working. So I'm unsure. This overlay motif that seems to be the seam allowance. It looks like a seam allowance to me. For those who don't know, a seam allowance is essentially where two pieces of fabric are sewn together. There's a little bit of extra fabric that helps you sew down. And so inside of a garment, you sometimes will see the seam allowance there. And essentially that seam allowance seems to be the design concept here because it sort of flaps in, or otherwise people iron it down so it's flat. But if it's not ironed down, kind of is like a little flap, a little flapper. So I feel like that's what we're seeing in the circle motif, and then there's a knot in the center to sort of do that. And I appreciate the technique. I think it's cool. I think it's different. I think it's something that we haven't seen really before. I've never seen. Do I think it's ugly? Absolutely. I think it's atrocious. I think it's egregious. I think it's horrific. It's just an ugly concept. Listen, I love the idea of the concept. I love the execution of the concept. I love the technique. I think that's wonderful that we're trying things, but I still think it's ugly. And that's okay too. Next up, we have Dove Cameron. She's wearing Erdem, the British brand, who I normally really love. I don't love this. It is a bustier top. It's kind of like a corset with some green embroidery. There's floral embroidery. There's sort of vertical V embroidery. There's a waist belt. I don't really understand the need, again, for a waist belt on a bustier, but okay. I do like the fact that it looks to be a sort of maybe like a linen, kind of flaxy kind of fabric. It's a little natural feeling. But then placed under it is this big sort of jacquard skirt with a very floral motif that runs throughout it. There is a lot of big sort of gathering going on. Not that like the gathering is big. Well, it is kind of big, but it's small because the gathering is not a whole lot of individual gathers. There's just big segments. It does sort of make it this bell shape. It's big, it's bold, it's not really beautiful. Well, it is beautiful. It's just placed under this bustier. I don't really understand it. I don't really get it. I don't really see the appeal of the garment. Yeah, and also with the Valentino heels, it just feels like a little unnecessary. So I personally think there's a lot of way better Erdem looks that we could have chosen. And this one I'm not understanding the logic, the logistics. Next up, we have Emma Stone. She is wearing Louis Vuitton custom. Again, she's at the Veuve Clicquot thing. So I feel like the yellow stripe shirt is meant to maybe be a reference to Veuve Clicquot, although I feel like Veuve Clicquot is like an orange, not really a yellow. I'm digressing. I think the top is cute because it is made of this little lace. I think it's more casual. It feels like she's actually gonna go and enjoy herself instead of trying to wear like a look. As for the skirt, it is a white skirt with some sort of tiered situation. There are gold buttons that I think are holding together these white tiers, and it's a little A-line. Listen, I like the top. The skirt design is not for me. I don't really love it. It feels a little bit like cork board that your mom has, except it's a white cork board and we're putting little gold push pins in it, and that's not for me. But do I think it's something that probably is a little bit more comfortable than like full fashion look when you want to go to the Veuve Clicquot polo classic thing and enjoy yourself? Yeah, so I get it. Also, it's like Emma Stone, I feel like doesn't show up too much, so like when I get a chance to talk about her, I'm like, okay, let's discuss. Next up, we have Flo Milli, and she is wearing Ferragamo. This is a look from, what, spring 2023? Ferragamo? It's an ombre. It's really gorgeous. I love this look on the runway. I thought it was really, really beautiful. I think the off-the-shoulder element is fun. I think that the ombre from the yellow into this red, into this like peachy peach, feels sunset-y. As we were talking about with the Beyonce look and that Ferragamo element, like, again, you can see that this isn't meant to be like puckering because it doesn't fit. This is meant to be, I believe, a ruching up the side that creates these puckered folds, that it's meant to be part of the design. It's meant to be part of the concept. You see what I'm saying? I do like the one shoulder sort of flare train. I think it's fun, and the gold accessory piece up top matches with the gold on the shoes. I'm into it. Next up, we have Gabrielle Union wearing Michael Kors. This is from, I believe, the most recent Michael Kors collection. I'm a Michael Kors girl. I don't know. Like, I don't know what changed in me. I promise that it's not because they were like, hey, come to the show. But like, when you go to the show, you see, like, it's nice clothes. And like, recent years, he has changed the fashion direction, and it is much more fashion, I would say, rather than granny under the sea. This gray sweater vest that is paired over a mini skirt, and the mini skirt is in this wool, and it matches the actual coat that she's wearing over top. How she's wearing a coat, I don't understand. Firstly, this is in New York. I wouldn't be wearing a wool coat, maybe a sweatshirt, but a wool coat paired over top of a sweater vest? No, that wouldn't have happened ever in my life. But I like the fact that the coat matches the miniskirt. I like the fact that we have the sweater vest, kind of. I'm not obsessed with it, but I don't hate it. But I think the really cool thing is this big old necklace that sits around her neck. It looks like an amulet or something you would find in this 1970s bohemian woman's closet, which is kind of what the collection was sort of based on. I don't know if it was actually about a 1970s bohemian woman, but that's what I read into it. Love her little, I don't know, lapis lazuli necklace. It's fun, it's cool. Jacket, miniskirt, I'm approving. Sweater vest, no. Next up, we have Jackson Wang, and he is wearing Louis Vuitton. This is a look that he wore to the Pharrell debut show. It's a gray sort of twill baggy pant that I actually think is really nice. I think it's a fun pant. I think the fact that it's like pretty high-waisted is also pretty great. And you have that front crease that runs down the front of both of the legs. Really nice sort of subtle touch, easy. The way that they fit around the shoe I also think is nice because those shoes look ugly, and so if we are going to cover them, wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. As for the turtleneck top, I personally don't understand it because from my understanding, it was very hot in Paris. Very hot. So I get it, but I also just feel like in this moment, turtleneck, you know, could have spiced it up a little bit in a different way. It's just not really exciting. It's not really interesting. I do love the pant, but everything else feels very blah. And the other thing that I'll say about everybody for these like Louis Vuitton shows or for fashion show stuff, like you're not at the event for that long. You go, you sit, you wait, you talk, you chat, then you leave. Done. You know what I mean? So like we could show up and show out a little bit more for events like that. Next up, we have Jacob Elordi wearing Valentino. It is a black leather jacket. Again, hot in Paris, don't really understand. But I do like the fact that at least he went for it. It's dedication. I appreciate it. We also have a white button down and a black tie with what looks to be like a Valentino V sort of logo element built into the bottom of the tie in gold. And then there's a pair of simple sort of shorts, then a Valentino desert boot with the rock stud sort of wrapping around right above the sole, and a pair of socks, and I have a feeling those are Nike socks. Maybe they're Valentino socks, but Jacob Elordi, he's a straight white man, you know what I mean? You can't take the Nike socks off of them. You can't pry them from their cold, dead bodies. I do think that in total, I think it works. I think it's cool. I think it's a little bit different. It's not radical. It's not over the top. It's fine. It's cool. Yeah, it exists. Not much else to say, you know? Next up, we have Jay-Z standing next to Beyonce, but we already talked about Beyonce, so we're gonna talk about Jay-Z now. This is a 3-piece custom suit that is in the camouflage motif, which again, the damier motif mixed with camouflage. So we can see that there is a light and brown element. We can also see little patches of the damier, but also the fact that it's very pixelated. It's meant to sort of be Minecraft couture, but not couture. It's fine. I think Jay-Z is a little bit more sort of dress-uppy kind of vibe. He likes a nice, good, solid suit. I think the fact that it's also like a 3-piece instead of just a blazer and a pant makes me appreciate it more. I'm not saying it makes me like it more, but it makes me appreciate it. Next up, we have Jeff Goldblum, who's wearing Prada. Now, this was for the Asteroid City premiere. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. This blue suit is great. It's sort of muted blue, which I think is really nice. It's often not that tapped into. The fact that it's a sort of long blazer coat, I also think is really nice and fun. It gives a little bit of length. It doesn't feel like, oh my god, a blazer for a suit. I've seen it a bunch of times. It's more of like a jacket. I also love the fact that we have the little pink shirt and matching pink tie underneath. And then you have this sort of cream collar, again, that's built into the actual jacket. It's not part of the actual shirt. And it has a yellow sort of cash knit that is sort of being built into the collar, which again, I think adds a nice little pop of color here. The black shoes, don't love. I feel like we could have found something else. It's tough to find a shoe that would fit perfectly with the color scheme of this outfit, but black is not the color, I don't think. Love this on Jeff Goldblum. I think it's cool. I think it's chic. I think it's different. I think it's subtle, but also nice and enjoyable. The colors all work together. It feels very Wes Anderson-y, which I think again is like, that's important to selling us on a Wes Anderson movie that you're showcasing and also hyping up. So the more you know. She first up is wearing this look from The Row. I love it. It's really chic, it's really subtle, it's really minimal, it's really easy, but it also is like kind of complicated. There is an element of technique and drapery to it. So it's a pair of pretty simple gray slacks. They're a little bit wide leg, but they come in that sort of nice, really light, crispy wool. But what's really, really intriguing, I would say, is the top that she's wearing. It's a asymmetrically draped sort of top. It fits really, really well at the waist, which I feel like with a lot of draped tops, they don't always fit. But here it fits really, really beautifully, and right where the waist starts, if you're looking down, it actually sort of has this fold over that creates the drape. I also like the fact that it doesn't really have sleeves. There is like a sleeved component that it looks to be like a faux sleeve sort of falling off of the body. The fact that both of the arms are pretty much exposed is also really, really nice. I love the fact that it feels draped, but at the same time, still has a tailored sort of fitted feel to it, which isn't super duper common. It's a very solid Jennifer Lawrence moment, because normally I don't think of her as like sophisticated, minimal, stealth wealth icon. But here, she's giving me all of those things. Very happy. We then had Lewis Hamilton. He wore a custom Louis Vuitton look as well. It's the damier, which again, I get was Pharrell's thing, 100%. I understand it. Just think the jacket, not great. Don't love. I think the damier can be really, really beautiful. I think it can really, really be stunning. I just think that in this moment, it feels a little bit basic. And then on top of it, the full black look underneath, not wonderful. And then the LV on the pocket, it's like, I know, I get it. I see that it's LV. I don't need you to re-explain. We got it. The look I want to talk about is this Alaïa moment. It is a full experience. It's a beautiful bodysuit in maroon. It's turtlenecked, it's sleeved. Her body is arched like crazy. It's a pose. And then on top of it, you have this low-rise full ball gown skirt that has a matching stole with gloves attached. So it's like a sleeve stole, a stole. I love it. I think it's a really cool way for Alaïa to 100% do bodycon, beautiful, sexy, gorgeous, wonderful, amazing, clingy fabrics and fashions that they're known for. But the fact that you also add in this low-rise ball gown skirt adds a little bit of elegance and intrigue, and you have to be really somebody that's ready to do it. I like the fact that you can also see like a part of the hip where there is space in between the bodysuit and the actual skirt. And then on top of it, I think that the gloves sort of build in a little bit of that extra drama. It's a really nice look. She looks wonderful. I'm sold on it. Next up, we have Maisie Williams, and she was out and about, and I feel like this is Glastonbury, but she's wearing Simone Rocha, which I love. You know what I mean? Like, this is a full Simone Rocha look. It's runway, it's cool, it's fun, it's weird. It's a, I believe, organza bomber jacket with straps, and then there is a, I believe, jacquard pleated dress underneath. I just think is crazy and kooky and weird and wonderful, and that's what I want from Glastonbury. festival fashion, you know what I mean? Like, that's a look. Coachella people, try that. Do that. That would be helpful. As for the black Coach bag with the matching black boots, I do think it's smart. Listen, you know, the bag plays into the boot, but at the same time, you need the boot because you're at Glastonbury, the English, it's rainy, it's muddy, it's mucky, it's disgusting, it's terrible, it's awful. I get it. But the Simone Rocha look by itself sold me. I said, Maisie Williams is a real one. Next up, we have Maluma, who wore a Louis Vuitton look again to the Pharrell show. It is a deconstructed suit, a short suit to be fair. There's a wide leg pair of shorts and a jacket whose lapel is missing from one side, but the piece has been sort of put on the other and then draped over to sort of close the jacket. It's really weird. I don't get it. It doesn't really make sense. I like the idea from Pharrell. I like the concept. I just think, again, like it's about refining certain things like this. Like when I look at like a Kim Jones for Dior, those really early collections, it played on suiting and tailoring and things like that. It was great in terms of technique and construction and in those elements. You can play on the lapel and try to recreate it, but you have to technically have it make sense. Otherwise, it looks like you copied and pasted on Photoshop. And that's bad. The other thing is like the motif with the bright orange and the blue and the red. It's pattern preference. You mix that with the shoes. A little too much going on here for anybody, not just me. Next up, we have Margot Robbie. Now, this is actually not a look from the Barbie premiere, any of the Barbie premieres or press tour, but rather this is a look that she did for Asteroid City, and it's a Schiaparelli look. It's a beautiful black strapless bodice, and then right at the center of the waist is this little gold molded keyhole. And the thing is, it's really cute and it's fun and it's Schiaparelli and the brand is known for like black and gold, and the velvet is really nice, and the way that at the waist it sort of flares off and creates like a floaty sort of but stiff little skirt element, but it's really not a skirt. And then you have the white pleated skirt underneath. It's really cute. It's really fun. It's from a recent haute couture collection. It just looks really great on her. I would like for Andrew McConnell to stay Margot Robbie's stylist because it's important for me and my eyeballs. And also I think all of you and your eyeballs, so demand that. We then had Maya Hawke in a custom Prada look, also promoting Asteroid City. I mean, listen, Wes Anderson brings the best out in everybody. So it's a pretty simple gown. It's big, it's bold, it's beautiful, it's covered in paillettes, and it's black. It really is intriguing. It does remind me of very early Prada collections. Those sort of silhouettes, Mrs. Prada was very big on doing sort of like post-war styles and things of that sort of nature, so it does reference a lot of like 1950s fashion. And so I feel like we're getting that here. On top of that, I like the fact that the paillettes run along the straps, and then there's a pretty simple sort of black silk pump. It's easy, it's peasy. The silhouette really does most of the work, and any other work that's left over, the paillettes handle. So this by itself would be great. But then Maya Hawke wore a little swim cap that is also black and full of paillettes, and I say thank you. Harry Lambert, who's her stylist, is also the stylist of none other than Harry Styles, and we stan in this household. And the thing is, Maya Hawke, I think, is a fashion girl. She understands that Prada is intriguing and intellectual and over the top and avant-garde and thoughtful, and she lets the brand sort of do that with her, and she does it with the brand, and like that's really important. It's so nice. It's so helpful. It makes me very happy. So I love seeing that like weird, quirky little swim cap on top. It just adds in a little zhuzh that we don't really get a lot on the red carpet. Next up, we have Priyanka Chopra, and she is wearing Giambattista Valli. I love this. Listen, you give me 1940s Hollywood, silver screen, siren, boudoir dressing. I'm very content. I don't want to be like, oh, Hollywood glamour. I hate that. I hate it so much. But this is Hollywood glamour. It's a really beautifully draped sort of dress. In reality, it comes in right below the bust area and creates a little sharp sort of indent. It gives you a little bit of wastage. But what's really, really intriguing about it is not really the drape necessarily, but when it comes to these big, long, flamenco-like sleeves that are trimmed in these beautiful feathers, it's over the top and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous and she looks amazing and stunning, and she has the leg out and she has a little peep toe heel. It sells you. Personally, I feel like this is a walk down the stairs in a Hollywood mansion sort of look. I wouldn't say the background gives that, but if you Photoshop that, I would believe it, you would believe it, we would all believe it. So I'm very much so a fan of the look. It's hot and sexy and good. Next up, we have Rihanna, and she is with ASAP, and she's wearing Jean Paul Gaultier. Listen, the thing about Rihanna is, while she's pregnant, she's saying, here, you will see my pregnancy belly, because I see my pregnancy belly. Enjoy. So we have a sheer and black dress. It's in a trellis sort of motif, and there's lots of sheer panels in the dress that expose a lot of skin. And I really, really love the fact that she's chosen a dress like this, because in reality, we can see that at the baby bump, it's obviously stretched. So these diamonds of black opaque fabric actually also expand with the fact that the body is sort of bigger in that area and the fabric has to stretch there more. I think that's so cool. Like, that's a normal thing that fabric does in general. So the fact that Rihanna is playing into it, I think is brilliant. You know, you can't get rid of the baby bump. Why not play into it? Let it be a part of the outfit. Let it be something that is celebrated. That is the moment. Do I love the glitter bra top and brief? No, but I'm very happy with the dress. As for ASAP, he's there. He's doing his thing. Not my favorite ASAP look by a long shot, but Rihanna's important here, so we'll look at that exclusively. Next up, we have Scarlett Johansson. Little Miss Johansson is wearing Carolina Herrera. I believe that this is from the resort collection that Carolina showed. It's a halter style. It's a white dress that horizontally drapes as a kind of cocktail dress, and then vertically from this little cocktail dress is a downward skirt with a little bit of gathering, and there's a big sort of fabric flower in the center. It's not my favorite dress by any means. I really like Carolina Herrera. I think it's a brand that has really, really grown in me in the past, but like, this is just not great. I think Scarlett Johansson, she's not a fashion girl. I like ScarJo when she's being a white woman, but in these moments I say, I can't. It's just, I think it's a strange dress. I think the composition of it is weird. I also just think like she should not have chose this out of all of the Carolina dresses that exist. It just doesn't track for me. I haven't seen Asteroid City because that's what she was promoting, but you know, you look at like Margot Robbie and you say, oh wow, great, love that. And then you look at Maya Hawke and you're like, oh wow, great, I love that. And then you look at Scarlett Johansson. So we're seeing the differences here. I mean, Jeff Goldblum for Prada. Like, there's a lot of Asteroid City promotion. This is the flop look. Next up, Zendaya. She's finale, always nice, always good. So first things first, we have this Louis Vuitton look. It's cute. It's a fully sequined, long, tunicky top and matching pant. In the grand scheme of things, like, it's beautifully done. It's a gorgeous sequin that gives a, I believe, landscape portrait of Paris. I'm pretty positive. And she's selling it. Listen, like, there's not much she can't sell. I think she looks really, really great in it. I think it's fun. I think it's easy. It's not my favorite LV look or Zendaya look by far, but I do think that it's gorgeous, it's stunning. LV's custom team obviously worked really hard for the Pharrell collections. They worked harder on some things more than others, but they worked hard. And so I appreciate it, think it's fun, think it's cool. It's her first sort of like real big LV ambassador debut, I would say, or second one. And I think she did a good job here. So that is the end of this June review. I'm sorry it came out so late. Oops, I apologize. I'm the worst. Yes, yes, yes. Put it in the comments. Let's talk about best and worst. As for best, I'm gonna put Maya Hawke in the Prada, Lily Rose Depp in Alaïa, Jennifer Lawrence in the Row, Maisie Williams, Simone Rocha, love that. Prada, Jeff Goldblum in Prada, Priyanka Chopra and John Battista Valli. As for worst, Kim Kardashian. Yikes. Maluma and Louis Vuitton, Scarlett Johansson, Carolina Herrera. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video, and TTYL.